You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Tottenham On Tour. This is a Straight Outta Conte special. I'm here with Mr. Brian Daigle in my humble abode here in Toronto, Canada. We're really looking forward to this one. This is a special we decided to do on the feature documentary that is on Spurs' new channel, SpursPlay. It's called 202 Days. Of course, it's with Antonio Conte. He's been with us, I guess, up until the point that the season ended for 202 days, and it sort of covers that entire period of time and what had happened. First of all, I just want to say hello, Brian. Good to see you, buddy.
Hello there, sir. Hello there, sir. It's good to see you too.
Brian's going to do a bit of talking now. I just want to get the intro in there, squeeze it in, but I hope. How are you feeling about the SpursPlay thing? I mean, I feel like it's obviously going to be a great tool for us, and I think if you're a Spurs fan, the prices are reasonable. And the thoughts on the production?
So what I will say about SpursPlay is, I've said it before, I see it being the avenue in about 10 years' time to be in where you'll get a season ticket to watch
it's
Spurs.
Like the Netflix of.
Well, that's what it is already. But I've got a feeling with the way TV is going forward and the way technology is going forward, rather than having a Sky subscription and say watching Newcastle, Everton, or Bournemouth versus Brentford, where
you just watch your team. You're a season ticket holder of it on telly or to go to the games.
And I think this is going to be the platform. But listen, it's the Tottenham Netflix. Whether you want to agree that it's money, it's this, it's that. What Spurs fan is it? I mean, we all traipse YouTube looking for Spurs content or Spurs videos or Spurs goals. Well, now it's all in one little bundle for you.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. Thankfully, when you register, you get two devices. So you paid for it. I get to watch it. I didn't give money to Levy, so I'm happy.
This guy.
I'm happy. But like we said, I think it's great. This documentary was a great way to open it up and say, here, go have some of this. And as people will get to know this season, when Conte speaks,
we respond.
Exactly.
Looking forward to it. So we're going to be, obviously, this is Straight Outta Conte. So we're going to be breaking down. It's essentially an interview with him extended over a 45-minute period of each part of the season as it went. So it's almost like a season in review, Straight Outta Conte. So we're going to kind of go through bits and pieces of it, and then we're going to give you our subjective opinion on it at the end to have a chat about that as well. We'll do a little bit of banter as we go along. Where do we want to start, Brian?
I think there's only one way we can start, or one place we can start. And it's I say it wrong.
El Sakiko.
Sakiko,
Man United versus Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was at that game.
You were,
I was at that game, and it was woeful. I mean, all the hype of that game, and the manager is knocking on the exit door. Should it go wrong? And it went horribly wrong. And then, obviously, the Lucas Moura substitutions just set the crowd off.
Absolutely nuts.
And we all know what was being sung. We're not getting into that. That's not what this is about. And then, obviously, when we're at our lowest lows and thinking, what is going on here? The club acted, and it got me into a bit of trouble, didn't it?
It certainly did. I think there was, yourself and there was a crew of people who got in a wee bit of trouble. You in particular, though. That's how you roll. So
Obviously, for people that are new to the channel or haven't seen me on We Are Tottenham TV, I was hosting with Ben because Simeon was away. And after Conte was announced that he could be coming, I was so convinced, like last time, this is just talk and it's not going to fall through, or it is going to fall through, it's not going to happen. Like I said, should Antonio Conte sign for Tottenham Hotspur, I will get the We Are Tottenham TV logo tattooed on me. And let's just say there it is in all its glory.
And just keep that in mind. He also made another silly bet, and we'll probably
stay tuned
for another video later this summer when he gets the tattoo. And
but then obviously, Brian, as we know, it all got announced, and it was like
it did.
And thankfully, it moved quickly.
It did. It had to. It had to. It was a desperate situation that we were in. And, obviously the manager that was chosen was not up to snuff when it comes to what we were supposed to be trying to do, moving on from where we were with Pochettino, having Mourinho previously. Just not enough. It was a very underwhelming appointment. And, of course, having Conte come in, and I think there was the issue was during the summer is he wasn't ready. He was still kind of with Inter, and his head was there, his heart was there, and didn't have the the energy, I think, to put himself at a new club. And then, of course, was reluctant to come in mid-season, but he did in this case make an exception and came to Spurs.
All I have to say very
unbelievable appointment by the club.
All I have to say very quickly is the reason he didn't come. You're saying potato. I am most definitely saying potato.
Hey, you know what? We can have our opinions.
Exactly. Well, like I said again, we're not getting into that. But
no, that's not what this is about.
Obviously, he came, and when you knew it was official, what were your overall reaction?
I think my shock was my initial reaction. It took me weeks seeing him on the touchline and trying to get used to it, because it was such a weird sight, because I'm so used to it. Mourinho was a bit weird for me, because Mourinho was, Mourinho, the status of Mourinho, but Mourinho had kind of already fallen down the pecking order of like best managers in the world at the time, because of what had happened at United, despite finishing second. Just the football he was playing, and it was just really, really boring to watch, and didn't have the charisma and the recent winning record, it has to be said, winning recently, because Conte had just won the title at Inter, and is just sought after. And I was just shocked that United were, I think it was Gary Neville who said he's not a Man United type manager. I'm like, what? You got to be kidding. Thank you, Gary. But anyway, and just my initial reaction was shock, and it took a while, but also just joy in that the club was doing what needed to be done and had needed to be done for some time. Of course, there's always that sort of the nerves, the stuff we went through, which we can get into as we get on with this video of what might happen because of Conte's volatility. But what was your thoughts? Like, how did you react? I mean, obviously realizing you had to get the tattoo, and then realizing that your favorite man, Mr. Daniel Levy, did something that you had to be happy about, despite the situation and your feelings for him. So, what was your reaction?
So, first of all, well done, Paratici. Well done.
Yeah.
Well
well,
done,
he did hire him too.
Well done with that. Listen, like you said, I was in shock for a long time. I did the watch along at We Are Tottenham TV with John Cooper for the first game. It was the day before I flew back the first time from London to Toronto, and I couldn't understand what was going on. I was like, is this happening?
This is very surprising.
And then obviously you had it on your green screen at the studio, like just a picture of him, and I was just like,
yeah, at the training ground. I had to leave that up and behind me all the time to realize that it was true.
Seeing him in the Spurs training gear was just strange, like, oh my god, this is actually real.
Yeah.
It was pure delight. I still
buzzing.
It still beggars belief for me that he is at the club. And then obviously, as we get talking now into the, before we get talking into the documentary, when you first came in, and be serious now, what did you think was going to be the outcome of this season?
I thought we would be lucky to finish 5th or 6th. I think we were in 9th at the time when he came in, and I didn't think, despite his pedigree, I didn't think with a half a season, with clearly a team in turmoil, that he was going to get us to 4th. And it was, we had to get lucky a little bit on the way, but we also had to win some pretty big games, which we were able to do, and get results at some big teams. So, I'd say 5th or 6th probably would have been my expectation, and I thought that would have been reasonable. Europa League, it's a step up from where we were, which is what we needed, and then of course going into the next season, we'd expect top 4 and expect a challenge of some kind for either titles or trophies. So, it turned out obviously better, which we'll get to as we get on with the video. But what were your expectations?
So my expectations were literally, I said, if he'd come at the start of the season, Champions League for sure. But I thought we're just too late, just too much ground to catch up. Obviously, like you said, there were so many teams that just didn't want 4th at one point.
Yeah, we got a bit lucky in that in that scenario.
But I thought it might be just too much of a push, and we will get 5th, or maybe make a run in and just stumble at the final hurdle. But boy, have I never been happy to be wrong.
And you know, and it did change at one point. And I was one of the people who said, we're going to get fourth. And I stuck with it. And eventually you changed to that tune as well, because we started to see, you know, what this guy's capable of as a manager and his ability to get the best out of players and see the improvements. Of course, there were moments when it looked like that was going to, you know, again, we'll get into the games as we go through this video. But that one game against United where Ronaldo basically beat the team, and you're just kind of going, we played so well and we played well around it. But let's get into some of the games. Of course, but
not even the games. What I want to begin before we start this first game with Vitesse is at the first thing that caught my eye, and it's going to be a very minor thing, but it wasn't with Jose, it wasn't with Poch, it wasn't with previous managers. What I loved is when you saw Antonio Conte in his manager's room with the coaching staff, is seeing the Subbuteo table.
Oh, right. I forgot about the Subbuteo.
I mean, we all know modern technology. It's touch screens and move things here and there.
Very old school.
But just to see that old school, and I mean, I remember playing Subbuteo at my grandma and grandpa's house. That's how, I mean, I remember as a kid. But to see, you don't see it with modern day managers.
You don't,
like modern day managers probably won't know.
It's right at the beginning of the video too, and you don't. It's happened so quick. So if you're watching the video, make sure you just try to see that, because it's all, you know, the Subbuteo. It's basically a football game on a table with, you know,
the little men.
You kind of move around, you flick them around and stuff, and he's using that for tactics, obviously.
And it's just such a old school,
classic.
Like, exactly. That's what classic. I was just like blown away. By like he probably does use all the modern technology, but to sit there and use a Subbuteo table is like proper old school.
Proper Italian old school too. So quality stuff. And then of course we get into the football. He comes in and he's got to play in the Conference League against Vitesse, which is, you know, just seeing Conte in a Conference League game. He must have been going, what have I got myself into? Especially after we go 3-0 up and we're, you know, comfortable, and Romero gets a red card. They score 2 goals. We didn't make it easy. I mean, it was pretty uncomfortable, but got the result. And then his response to it was, you know, like, I think he got a sense of what he was dealing with. He saw the quality up front, and then he obviously saw some of the problems. Excuse me. It's okay. Some of the problems that we have at the back, and that kind of was brought to life in that scenario against Vitesse. And you know, his comments afterwards were telling.
Exactly. I mean, the thing to take from it as well is the pull of that man, because it was a Conference League game, and I think a couple of days before they'd only sold 12,000 tickets.
Yeah,
Conte comes, bang, sell out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
the fans responded really well.
I've never seen. Well. Listen, we'll get into this. I've never seen, and I'm not just talking to Tottenham. I know his song "Antonio" is a very easy one.
It's an easy one.
But normally a manager has to work in to get, even Jose or whatever. They have to work. This guy walked in and straight away. I mean, I was lucky to be at a good few games this season, and the decibels it hits when you sing that song. But yeah, he got to see both sides of the coin with Tottenham, didn't he? 3-0 within a matter of 20 minutes, and then fall apart. But like he said, it just showed the work he had to do. It shows what he had. He goes, right, I've seen this. It weren't the best, but I know what I'm working with.
He knows what he's working with at that point. Yeah, and in the level that we were at, because to let Vitesse in the Conference League score a couple of goals against you. Of course, we were down to 10 men, which has an effect on it. In the video, there's a piece about Ryan Mason, which I thought was great. We know that Ryan Mason became part of the first team squad. You know a little detail about this, that there's some history with them.
I think it just alludes to the class of what Antonio Conte is, because if people remember, Ryan Mason unfortunately had to retire after getting a horrific head injury for Hull, and it was playing against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. And who was the manager? One Antonio Conte. And Ryan Mason always speaks about this, saying that Antonio Conte was one of the first people to go see him at hospital. Antonio Conte stayed in contact with him regularly when he had to retire, then when he came back as the coach, and then obviously when he came to the club, he brought him, because after his managerial stint in between Nuno and Jose, he went back to youth and everything, and the first thing Conte did was, nope, you come with me
back to the first team.
So he's back with the first team. So there's a great bond, and what a wonderful touch from our manager.
It's a wonderful touch, and it says so much about what he's good at, and it's uniting the squad completely. And you know, you've got a guy like Mason, who's, you know, did what he had to do when he was asked to fill in as a first team manager, and did what he could with the little knowledge he has, but what he's going to get out of Conte as you know, a coach in football, and the winning mentality that he's going to learn is just huge. And it makes me so proud of our club when those types of things happen, and that's what Conte's doing is the pride, is instilling the pride. Now we get back to some of the football. And next up, the first game in the Premier League, we get a game against Everton. I think we were on 15 points at this point.
Yep, 10 games,
10 games,
points.
15 points in. It's a pretty drab game. Were you at that game or
no? That game, I was back here.
Oh, right, you come back.
Here.
That's
I
right.
literally just got back here, and yeah, it was a die game. But if you look at it, he came in on I sound like Craig David in his song. He came in on a Tuesday. He played on a Thursday.
Yeah.
No, he came in on a Wednesday. Didn't even get to train with the team. Then he had from Thursday to Sunday.
That's right.
To train with the team.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe there was an international break before Leeds. And yeah, it was a 0-0. Listen, it was a 0-0. He was very, very happy to keep a clean sheet after what he saw against Vitesse, which was the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was a diabolical game of football.
Yeah, and then we go up against Leeds. The Leeds game, I can't remember the scoreline on that one, but
2-1.
2-1, right.
Leeds took the lead, and then
and then we came back.
Højbjerg scored, and then Reguilon scored the free kick that deflected off the
free kick. Yeah, so a win. We get a win against Leeds, and again, this is sort of the beginning of what we saw as the up and down. I think he was asked, I think, after the Leeds game, what are our chances of finishing top 4? And the look on his face. And again, I mentioned in our previous video, if you just watched a previous video, if you didn't, go check it out. But if you did, the sort of strained look on his face, he's trying to be happy and trying to deal with what he's dealing with, but trying to be happy dealing with what he's dealing with. But it was difficult for him, and you could tell he was asked if he's going to finish top 4, and I think his response was, it's really hard to tell at this point. It's maybe a little too early. It is obviously a goal that we're going to try to get there, but he wasn't super confident, was he?
No, it wasn't. But the one thing we did see in that game, first of all, was once Reguilon scored that goal, you saw the first Antonio Conte run to the
right into the crowd,
run to the coaching staff, the big hug, and then this to the fans,
right, which is so good to see that
he riles up a crowd like nobody other. Yeah. He is box office just watching him. But yeah, after that, obviously he'd had a win in the conference, a draw. Then he got a win against Leeds, and it was the building blocks. But yeah, he could see that there was work to do. I think at that point he might have realised that this is going to be a bit harder than he thought, and he was like, right, here we go. This is going to be hard. And you got to remember, when we left Nuno, we were 20th in running, 20th in
18th, 20th, 19th, in everything that mattered.
Yeah,
statistically. Right?
And he slowly, very quickly. He very, very quickly got us to be number 1 in running teams.
Yeah, it took about 3 weeks, I think, 4 weeks, and you started to see from where we were to where we ended up towards the end of the season, levels, which was essentially where we needed to be. And it shocks me that other managers don't consider that as much as important as the winning ones do, because if you see the winning ones do it, and the training regime and the diets and everything else that they put them on, there's a reason why it works. And so, shockingly enough, he comes in, changes things up, and it does work.
Sauce.
Yeah,
no sauce.
No ketchup. Ketchup and the mayo out of it.
Go out of the club.
No more sauce. I love my sauces, but I completely get it. So next up, we got Brentford, we got Norwich, and we got Liverpool. The Brentford game, 2-0. Again, looking better. Defensively looking better, looking more cohesive. You can start to see a little bit of what he's trying to do here.
Well, this is where you start. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
This is where you start seeing, for me, in these games, especially Brentford and Norwich. All right, they're lower teams, but you started to see the confidence in Dyer and Ben Davies. Mm-hmm. You started to see Antonio Conte chipping away,
getting that defense solid,
getting their confidence up. I think Romero might have been out. It might have been Sanchez as well. We got 2 back-to-back clean sheets with Sanchez, Romero, and Davies. Sanchez, Dyer, and Davies. Mm-hmm. And if someone had told you at the beginning of the season that's your back 3 for a few games, you'd have been like.
I mean, I think that was the case against the 2-2 at Liverpool, which we had next.
What a
game! 15 games in, 26 points. Liverpool. We honestly probably up until later in the season after Conte had been for a while, one of the best games I'd seen us play. We'd played very, very well, created a ton of chances. We're arguably should have won the game. A bit unlucky in some of the passage of play for their goals, but really, really fun to see that. And again, this is a title challenging team that is has been one of the best teams in Europe in the last 4 or 5 seasons. So really, really great result, despite obviously not getting the win, but impressive as hell. Then we played the Saints.
Wait, before you start about Liverpool, what you got to remember as well is we played 3-5-2 for the first time, which for me, and I think worked a dream. For a neutral, that would have been one of the best games of the season. I know we had
I think a lot of people said that. Yeah.
It was an attacking end-to-end game. We got lucky with Son's equaliser with that Alisson's huge slip. Liverpool were depleted with injuries.
Both teams were short on the players, so it did help with the.
But the greatest thing from that is what we saw. Ryan Sessegnon had Mo Salah in his back pocket, and this is before Sessegnon had started identifying that you're going to be the number one left back.
Yeah, it was when they were competing, right? I think that maybe one of the games Conte was like, "Oh."
So slowly chipping away.
Yep.
He started, like we were just speaking about the back three. You saw something with Sessegnon as well. There's little bits as you're going through this. You start realizing. I only remember Sessegnon when I saw this. Our notes written down here.
Yeah.
There's little things I didn't even realize when we were watching the video of the genius of this man and what he could do.
And that's it, right? He's seeing these things and he's recognized them as they happen, and you see an immediate effect of after the game, the next 2 games, the rest of the season. You just see this very impressive improvement of all the players and all the positions that are playing. It's just so impressed with what he was able to do. We go in, we play Saints. I forget the scoreline on that one. 1-1. Oh yeah, it wasn't. It was another draw. 2 draws in a row.
Yeah, but Harry Kane had a blatant goal that was onside, ruled off.
Right, and
he scored a penalty for a change.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should have won that game, and obviously that ended the Christmas period. But the great thing was hearing about the New Year's Eve. Obviously, Conte said that, listen, in Italy at Christmas time we're usually with family and friends, right? Yeah. And obviously you have to do it with Chelsea for a couple of years, but you come back and it's not something you're used to.
Mm-hmm.
But he said when we had the whole team together for New Year and Lucas Moura bought fireworks and we lit them off at midnight. It's just that team, but just those little things.
The bonding, the
team bonding. I mean, I'm sure that every year they're together, but do they do fireworks every year? Are they united as a team every year? Are they? And these are just little bits of master strokes. Literally, as he's painting his
so much detail in what he does, right? It's
the attention to detail. And let's think about it.
It's
midnight.
Impressive.
Normally, when there's before a match, surely they want to be in bed before midnight.
Yeah.
When you're playing next, all right, we're playing in Watford, so we were in London, but yeah, just that team bonding stuck out to me.
Yeah, it was almost like that was more important than the game, even though obviously the points are important, but what you're going to get out of it for the rest of the season is having moments like that. And of course, we go into that Watford game and, Watford relegation bound team playing really poorly, but, against Tottenham made it really, really difficult. Sanchez has to score a late winner, a header from a corner. I think it was about the 90th minute, right at the end of the game.
Free kick.
Oh, it was a free kick, wasn't it? That's right. It was a free kick, but it was in the corner of the pitch. So we get 3 points. Fantastic 3 points. I think you could see Conte's face in the interview after just sort of conversing about this game. Yep. He's like, we kind of got away with one there. It wasn't a pretty performance, but got over the line was what we needed.
That famous line he says, if you're not going to win the game, don't lose.
I love that line, and I think that's winning. That's winning mentality, and I know that's not winning. It's never losing, and I think that's the thing that Conte and winning managers have in their head is if you're going to drop any points, don't make sure you don't drop all of them. You get at least a point, and don't let the other team you're playing against get more points than you. So it sounds obvious and it sounds sort of ridiculous to say, but over time that adds up, and it adds up a lot. If you look at some of the games where we did let a late goal in, or like the next game we're going to talk about, which is arguably the most entertaining game of the season in the league. Had we lost that game against any of those games we're talking about that are so tight, we wouldn't have finished top 4.
Well, you think about the point at Anfield that we'll come on to later.
Yeah, again,
not a lot of people go to Anfield and get a point, and that point was
massive,
huge. But yeah, so we entered the new year, didn't we? And obviously,
in style,
January had started. Obviously, I was outside the training ground trying to make sure things happened or to voice our frustrations. But the day after we did that protest or started the protest, myself, Ryan and Graham, and Nick, Barry, Sean, Phil Grant was with us as well.
That's one person,
others,
by the way, if you're new to us.
amongst others. The day after that, we made a little trip that I was blessed to go to up to Leicester.
Yes, the Leicester game, and of course, this is a player who's obviously left the club. His biggest, most important performance he's ever had at Spurs, and to score 2 goals and extra time the way he did. I mean, you were at the ground. Tell everybody like what that was like, because I watched on the telly and I was losing my shit completely. So I can't imagine what it would have been like.
I remember I was with Simeon and Grandpa for that game, and what you got to remember is we actually played very, very well that game.
Our XG was the highest any team of the season.
Great football. Harry Kane scored his obligatory goal against Leicester.
Yeah, he always does.
What a goal it was. But the 2 goals we conceded, Maddison and Patson Daka, they're both fortunate goals. And
they
then
were.
You were just like, oh, here we go. This. The tension in that stand where we were was at fever pitch. You could feel something was going to explode if that had carried on. And then obviously
Conte's to get back to him a little bit before you finish the story, the look on his face as these things were happening, he like when we went down, he was not happy.
He was getting to the point and looking, because you got to remember at this time.
Where were you on the ground from like looking at Conte?
So if Conte's in the middle, we were in this corner, so
it's a bit
the
of
other
ways.
stand right in the corner.
But you can see the pacing.
Oh, you can see mate. You can always see the pacing. It's like literally, you can always see Antonio Conte pacing. But you got to remember, I think it was January the 16th or 17th that game, so we're already over halfway through the window. So the fever in the crowd was going a bit crazy, and then I can't even describe that last minute. I can't even begin to describe to you what happened, because I've seen the equaliser, and then when Bergwijn scored that goal, like the ball from Harry Kane, first of all,
unreal pass,
But that ball rolling into the goal, I've never known a ball to roll so slowly.
It seemed like it, and it barely made it in.
It was like super slow mo in the ground,
inside the post.
And then obviously, all I can say is bodies and limbs all over the shop.
Yeah.
And then at the end, because it was the end straight away, Antonio came over the whole. And for 20 minutes, but Antonio Conte, you could see him dart to the, and that's the thing we love, when he's emotional and he starts running into the hair. It was.
Flops.
I mean, that was
the suit flies back.
That was
so good.
Sensational. Even he said it's one of these games that are just you can't explain. And he was very, very happy. And this is where the fitness started coming into play.
You started to see it, certainly, and of course, the unfortunate scenario is that we ended up the next 3 games we played were against I hate saying their name, but the Chelsea, and it was in three games, 3 losses against his old club, and this is where he really saw the difference between what he had and what other clubs had as far as a squad's concerned, and what he needed to do after those 3 games. I mean, his interviews after a couple of them, he just looked shattered. You know, you can see that in this video, his body language is really bad. And this is a lot of us going, oh God, he's going to quit, because, we're obviously going to panic because we're Spurs fans. So the panic is setting in. And the feeling is that why would he stay? Like, this is so bad. He realizes how bad we are. And of course he goes at this point to talk to Levy and Paratici and tells him what he needs.
Well, you got to remember, before that, he had said in the documentary that when you lose to an opponent 3 times in 10 days, it shows that team is superior to you in every single department.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said too, right?
And then with it being Chelsea for him, it would have hurt more. And we all thought when Antonio's coming in, we all got told he was going to get a war chest, and we were all the bits and bobs. And then obviously we're going through January, the Adama Traore story.
Many stories.
Just the everything. And when he went to have these meetings, I wish I was a fly on the wall there, because I don't think I personally, and this is my own opinion, don't think they were as calm as he was making it out.
I don't think they were calm at all.
I think they were shouting from the rooftops, and there was a lot of Italian language and everything. But obviously, whatever happened, whoever did it, in comes Kulusevski and Paratici, and the bit I loved was
Kulusevski and Bentancur,
who did I say? Kulusevski and
Paratici, you said it.
Okay,
all good.
So but what I did like is you saw more Paratici talking in the video about this, didn't you?
You did, yeah.
Saying that the relationship, we knew these guys, they came in.
Conte didn't say much about it, which was interesting. That's a good point.
He looked Kulusevski was with Paratici on the looking out the ledge at the training ground and everything. And obviously, we saw a lot of that. And it rings true. Like, listen, the links were there.
Mm-hmm. And there were players that they knew the profile of, that they both worked with, that they knew they could get them in the squad and there'd be a massive effect. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. I mean, obviously, we had another couple of defeats after that. And I was so one was Southampton, obviously.
Yeah.
Which was, let's face it, we went 1-0 up. Ben Davies slipped. And I don't even call that a Ben Davies error. He slipped on the grass.
It's a difficult moment. It's not much you can do about it. He slipped on the grass.
That's not an air kick. It was raining. Got to sound like Ty. It's been raining.
The weather is why we lost.
But then obviously Moore equalised, and then 2 James Ward-Prowse easy balls, given the freedom of the ground. Yeah. And then Wolves, which was I was there. Dire football. Wolves for me, that 45 minutes. The first 45 minutes was the worst 45 minutes I've ever seen live as a Tottenham Hotspur supporter. It was horrific. It was just ridiculous, wasn't it? It
was earth shattering because there's moments where it looks like we're starting to see the change, is starting to see things happen, and then you have results like this. That Leicester game to come back and to win that game 3-2, it just felt like, okay, we're going to kick on. And then of course you go and lose to Chelsea 3 times in the month, and then you go and lose these games as well. These games against teams that we should be beating. Like, I'm not necessarily comfortably. There's no comfortable games in the Premier League, but we should be winning these games. We should be beating Wolves. Wolves weren't very good anymore at this point. They started well in the season, but they started to drop off in January, and we just had nothing, and it was a really difficult watch. And of course, the thing that Spurs do right afterwards is
before you say that, you got to remember there's that huge thing going into this game. It said, there was the headline, Antonio Conte has never lost 3 straight Premier or League games. Of course. And the next game just so happened to be Manchester City away. Yeah. We know what happened there. I was there again.
You were there again. You got very lucky with both of those games. Yeah, nuts. two massive games. And Spurs came out to play. I mean, this was a Spurs team at its very best under Antonio Conte. Really knew exactly what the game plan was. And I think obviously these teams that are better than the rest of the league are better for Spurs to play against because they're not sitting deep. The teams we struggle against are the ones we got to break down. Hopefully we'll see a difference in that, what's happened this summer. That's another video as well. But Conte's tactical nous and understanding of what it was, probably what he had seen previously when we played City, because we obviously kind of did the same thing again. It's that counterattack, get Sonny on that, right on that center line, get a ball through, let him run onto it, and they'll score. And of course we saw that, and wonderful result. We'll finish 2-0 in the end, right?
What game we talking about? Sorry.
Oh, the City game.
It was 3-2.
Oh, right. Of course. I'm thinking of a different game.
Yeah, 3-2 with Harry Kane. That was the most complete game.
Oh, he was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
He should have had a hat trick. One got ruled for offside.
And he wasn't offside.
The pass to set Son off on the way to set Kudus. I mean, and the biggest thing, and this was the biggest thing with Conte as well. What I remember, and people spoke about this, was after it went 2-2. Normally,
Sterling scored that goal.
Morris scored the penalty.
Oh, that's what it was.
Sterling was Champions League a few years ago.
Oh, I just can't.
Morris scored that penalty, and we would have thought, right, just hold on for the draw. And then there was a little triangle of play, and Bentancur clips the ball forward to Kulusevski. Now, if that was any other manager or any other team, you're just keeping the ball. You're
just passing it around.
Yeah, you're just passing it around. But Bentancur to Kulusevski, Kane, goal. Scenes and limbs at the Etihad, and I was right at the top.
How far did you end up down in the stand?
Mate, so there's 3 tiers at City, and we were halfway on the 3rd tier. But the scene, it was just insane because obviously it's Man City. But watching the main thing is obviously I got my phone out and I just zoomed in on Antonio Conte, because that's the thing. I got, like I said, I got to watch a few games this season because of Bob and whatever and being back home. But I used to spend 10-15 minutes where I would just watch Conte. Yeah, and I would see. He doesn't know what that technical director's box, like I said to you, he thinks that box is do not enter.
What lines?
Not that's the box you're meant to be in. He's
he doesn't get a lot of trouble for it, which is funny to watch.
Because he's very clever. He goes around, he's hovering around it.
And he'll just step into it when the referee comes over.
And let's face it, it's like Ferguson, isn't it? He goes, I'm not going to tell him. But just watching his emotions again. And obviously he spoke about saying, this team is fantastic. We're going places. We're doing this. We're doing
ups
that.
and downs.
And you said, unfortunately, this came with the ups and the downs because the very next game,
yeah, Burnley.
Burnley away.
Burnley away.
What were your thoughts?
Just a difficult game. Again, this is another team that's going to sit deep, is what they did. They sat deep. Not as much as I expected. They did come, Weghorst had come in January, so he was a little bit more. They were a bit more forward thinking, and they were getting the ball to him, and there was a bit more of them going forward. But again, another team who couldn't break down and couldn't get in behind and couldn't really create anything, and it just such a letdown from where we were the week prior, which is what we had been. We talked about on this channel a number of times. When can we get some bloody consistency here? Because we need to win. We need to put a run of games together where we win and we just get enough points that it's not a question when we get to the North London Derby, which of course we'll get to, because that was all leading up to that game and where we're going to be when we get to that game. And losing to Burnley in that moment was like, fuck's sake, man! We can't lose to Burnley after beating City 3-2. It just seemed completely bizarre, and it was a difficult watch.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember that. As I cannot remember being as frustrated as I was that game. And even Conte said on it, on the documentary, he goes, after that game, I was angry.
Yeah, it was his worst moment. He said, this was in his management so far at Spurs. That was my worst moment. And
that's when he questioned himself.
He questioned himself. We all know it can't
that interview.
They don't show the interview in this video,
which disappoints me.
I think they should have. Yeah,
we'll talk about that in the review of the.
Yeah, we will. But it would have been, I think, a much more clear moment of what had happened if you're a Spurs fan, because that just earlier in the season when we lost three games in a row to Chelsea, I think a lot of us thought he was going to bounce. But then he literally said he was going to bounce. So it's like, oh no!
I can remember all us content creators were going nuts and going streaming.
Crazy.
I was petrified after that interview. I literally thought, "Here we go. Here we go."
It felt like it.
I'm going to wake up tomorrow.
I thought it was nuts that people were thinking he was going to leave, and then I saw that video. And
I was like, exactly.
I'm wrong.
It's like literally the way he speaks. You got to remember with him, and what we all love about him is he's so passionate. He's so emotional. And he's one of the guys that when he speaks, you listen, and you listen very, very clearly. And he speaks from the heart. And when he did that interview, I was like, uh-oh.
It was heartbreaking because it literally felt like Spurs broke Antonio Conte. I didn't think it was possible. It felt like that's what had happened.
I also say that moment, though, was the moment that changed everything because he lost the plot. I think the Spurs players thought, we could lose this guy. We could realize
the importance of what was happening.
Realize that this guy knows what he's talking. Well, they knew what he's talking, but they're like, and even Conte said, after this is when I decided I'm going to go strong.
Yeah,
I'm going to go hard. I'm going to go. We've got a few games.
No more kid gloves. I think that was the thing about coming in halfway through the season for him is he wasn't sure how much he could apply.
Well, I kept mentioning the carrot and the stick, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. How much can I do here to still motivate these guys, train them up without it disturbing or making the season more difficult than it needs to be to get the results we need to, and that I think that was part of that up and down too, is that he knew oh god, this is it, I've got to go for it now, there's nothing else here. If I don't go for it now, then this is a bloody pointless. So you're right. I think that was I think it was the most
poignant moment of the season where it's like, right, okay, the chips are completely down now, I am fuming, I am raging, I'm doing this and I'm doing it my way. It was like, no more of this. Yeah. Do you know what it reminded me of?
No more dicking around.
Do you remember when he was at Chelsea and the filth battered them 3-0?
Yeah.
And he said, you know what, I'm going to a back three. Then they went on their 15-game
changed the system only to be beat by Spurs.
Yeah. But that's what I see with that Burnley moment. Mm-hmm. Exactly. That was like our carbon copy where it's like, right, that's it.
Time for a change.
I'm not doing it. I'm not waiting until next season to stamp my authority properly. The time is right here, right now, and things are going to change. And from that moment, they did.
It's true, and we all know what happened in the next game. They could come up against Everton and absolutely batter them 5-0. Fantastic.
Leeds first, didn't we?
Was it Leeds first? I might have been Leeds first. I don't have it in the.
Yeah, well, Leeds we battered them 4-0.
Well, we also
The 5-0 we're looking at, because that's the first game we watched together.
Right.
At the Scotland Yard. The first
you're right.
game.
Because the Leeds game, after the Leeds game, I felt so much better after the Burnley game, because it was a bit of a relief because the team responded. And then, of course, then the Everton game. So 2 games in a row, 9 goals, no goals against.
Yep.
That for me was like you said, boom, it changed. And of course, then I think, we come up against a United side that, aren't very good other than one player, and we got beat by that player.
Ronaldo 3, Tottenham 2.
Yeah, Ronaldo 3, exactly. And difficult to watch that one because we didn't even play bad. Like, I thought we actually played quite good. There were just moments where his quality, because of who he is as a player, being put in a certain situation, he carried the team on his back. The rest of the team were dog shite, maybe other than a couple of passes to him, and he finished off what needed to be done.
Yep.
Difficult game, but not something that I was worried about from a performance perspective. I didn't think there was a moment in the game where the players weren't listening to Conte. Conte even came out afterwards. I think he said in the video, he even said we came up against Ronaldo, and Ronaldo was the reason they won that game. So his response to it was much the same as ours, and that he realized sometimes it happens.
Exactly. I mean, the football we played was very, very good. Mm-hmm. We kept within the game. It was we listen. Ronaldo scored a blockbuster, and then we switched off twice.
Yeah,
and you can't switch off
especially with him
when
ball.
He's around and he's in that mood. And then you look at it. I think what was mainly important about that was they were fourth, we were fifth.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
That was the point where, okay, if we can win this,
it puts us in that fourth
position. We can start talking. It's there, but obviously it didn't work. It didn't happen. But like you said, Conte went back and said, "You guys put in a shift. You guys did what was
it wasn't
ours."
a bad performance. We got unlucky on the day. Exactly. It happens. It's football. Yeah, and
we all say if it happens, if you go out and give your all, and you lose, there's obviously we're annoyed because we lost.
But you can deal with it.
You can go with your head held high and say, not like like the Man U at the Lane where Nuno left and it was just let's put down tools and just do nothing. So it was a positive performance, just not the right result.
Yeah, 100%. And of course, there's another result after that. A Newcastle 5-1. So score another 5 goals, let in a goal. Unfortunate goal. I don't remember the specifics of it, but I remember it was disappointing to give away the free kick. And sometimes you can't stop a goal like that. It is what it is. Wasn't an open play, but scoring 5, and just again, that was a lot. We started scoring a lot of goals in that period of time, and it was everybody was firing going forward. It was really exciting to see, and again, letting in 1 goal, not a huge deal. And then, of course, he's in his interviews, he's talking about the ups and downs and the difficulty of the maintaining sort of the levels that we need to maintain from a scoreline perspective. And we come up against a Brighton side that had our number. And tactically speaking, I hate to say it, and Conte got out tacticked. he got out
tacticized.
He got
Let's
out,
make words up.
Exactly. He got out thought in this game a little bit when it came to what we kept trying to do, and I think it's because of the amount of depth we had in how we were playing. Potter's tactics were to not allow the ball out from the defenders into either Harry Kane or a midfielder so that the transition could happen. He stopped that happening all over the pitch, and we never could get in behind them, and it was just really, really frustrating. And then, of course, it was a late goal. Really nice goal, to be fair.
Yep.
I like that player, Trossard. A good player and good goal, and he's a quality player. And it was unfortunate when they scored. And we didn't play poorly, but we just couldn't get anything.
Oh, Brian, I beg to differ. We were abysmal.
Okay, fair. We were. Okay, you're right. It was crap. It was absolute crap. I don't think we weren't as bad as in games earlier in the season where we didn't know what to do. We just were outplayed in this game against a team that knew what they needed to do to beat us, and they did it. So.
And there was a player that you asked to do it, and his name was Yves Bissouma. Not happening anymore, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good shout because he literally made Harry Kane look useless. And null and void. Barely had any touches. His interception rate in that game was absurd, and that was the exact play I'm talking about. They're going to try to get it to Kane, assuming you don't let it happen, and boom, they don't have anything. And that's exactly what happened.
Well, you got to remember as well, before that, we'd had the Aston Villa game where Kane was finding Son, and the Newcastle game that he was dictating. Kane on his playmaking. He went on a run where he wasn't scoring, but he was assisting 2 or 3.
Creating everything.
He was assisting the assist.
Yeah, he was a part of almost every goal.
Exactly. Yeah. And like you said, Graham Potter said to Bissouma.
Shout to Harry Potter, guys. If I was a fan of his, I'm not saying he's better than Conte.
But yeah,
that's for David Harris at the end.
But like we said, it was a bad performance. And do you know what? After the Villa game, I said that's the time I said, right, we're getting top 4. And then we had Brighton, and then an even worse performance away to Brentford.
Yeah, that Brentford performance was really poor. Very, very poor. What was finished 1-1, right?
0-0.
Or was it 0? Oh, right, 0-0, no goals. Again, clean sheet though. This was the one thing that we were doing well. Brentford, with Ericsson in that team, were on a roll at this point.
They were.
They had gained a ton of points, and they were playing good football. Ericsson was doing what he was brought in to do, and did it in this game as well. I mean, they didn't score. Neither would he. It was stalemate, kind of a boring game. And we were not very good. It was a disappointing result. And then of course we've got Liverpool away after that. Going to Anfield is the idea of the 12th man, I think, was born there. It's like it's something about that happens. They're not loud all the time, but when they need to be and they need to galvanize their team, that they do that very well. And so going there and playing there is very difficult. But again, Conte against one of the best managers, if not one of the best manager in the world. There's an argument for him or Pep, but Klopp is very good tactically and understands he's going to play a system and he's going to know how to do it and what needs to be done. Have a glass of water there, buddy. Bry's got the hiccups. But again, I think another wonderful performance here, a 1-1 draw. Anything in particular that stood out to you from Conte's perspective in this game?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to paint a picture. You've got to remember, now we're getting to the business end. Arsenal now are in fourth.
Right, that's true.
And if we hadn't got a right result here, they could have clinched the top 4 spot at the North London derby. And everyone thought we were going to lose this game. Obviously, it's Anfield. They're going for the quadruple. Everything's going their way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I love about this game? And it's pure Conte? The patience. Patience. It was like stay in the game. Stay in it, keep it quiet. And when you get that moment, you have to take it. And then Kane once again over to Sessegnon. And then obviously, and it was so unfortunate with the equaliser, a deflection. It was
very unlucky. Yeah. The funny thing about this is this goes to what Conte said earlier in the video, and just generally speaking, don't lose.
If you can't
win, don't lose. And we managed to make sure that happened going to Anfield, and that was huge, absolutely massive for the result in the season. So,
well, not just for the season, leading into the next game.
Well, of course,
which was obviously the biggest game at any point. Now you can imagine Conte was furious because of January and every gun as a runner. Then obviously the build up to this game. Then it being a Thursday when Arsenal played on a Saturday, so they had an extra day after we played at the late kickoff.
It was basically like trying to give it to them almost. It
was literally that. And then obviously, then you put in the equation that if Arsenal win, they get top 4. Now they've won the league at us, so the pressure, and we know he thrives off the pressure. Yeah, and obviously the atmosphere being your first North London derby.
He's managed and played in those games, so there's nobody better to be in that scenario. I think he's even better in it than Pep and Klopp are when it comes to his CV in those games. Just absolutely massive as a player and as a coach.
Is there a better manager as well for that game? All right, the fans were electric. They were unbelievable.
Intense,
but if you need a manager to ramp up a crowd, I know Klopp does it and whatever. But no one does it better than like Conte. Antonio Conte.
Yeah.
So that was
unreal.
That was phenomenal.
We were at the Scotland Yard in Toronto, and it's not obviously not being at the game, but it was electric there too.
Oh my god!
And comfortable in the end. There's a couple of lucky sort of calls that you could kind of go either way. The sunny push at the back, and Kane's penalty just clinical as hell, and doing what Kane does, It went our way, but it felt like it was going to go our way, and of course the end result was a 3-0 drubbing of our arch rival up the road. And Conte very, very pleased with the result and very happy with the way it went. I think there's every reason to think that it happened because of him.
And again, what you see in that documentary is obviously the Spurs players are going to stay on the pitch for a bit after they've won the North London derby. It's all smiles and champagnes and skittles everywhere, but that no one was leaving the crowd, and they weren't leaving the crowd. The laps of honours, Antonio Conte rallying the troops. That's when it was like, this is ours. This is ours, and everything I think he saw in that game, because we were under the cautions for the beginning till the penalty.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it was a good solid game. I mean they had 15 minutes of good run of play where they had the ball, and it was like it was going to be difficult. And that's why I said when we had a couple of decisions that we got away with, right? And that happened at the right time, and it turned the game quite a bit. So we did get a bit lucky. And of course, we got 2 games left to play. We got Burnley of all teams, that we've got to find a way to beat. And of course, we did find a way to beat them. 1-0 win against Burnley. Conte finding a way, to get at this team, a team who stifled us the last time we played them, and stifle every team they play against. Thoughts on the Burnley game?
What you got to remember with that game is that was our final home game of the season.
It was, right.
That was to put us in top 4 because Arsenal weren't playing Newcastle till the Monday.
Yep.
So the pressure to win that game
it's huge, absolutely huge.
Absolutely,
and you could see it in the players too. You can even see it in Conte. I think he was probably more uncomfortable.
You could see the relief when the penalty went in
for sure. But I think when the stress was there, he gets his hands in his pockets, and he kind of has his jacket pulled back behind him.
But thankfully, he doesn't do a Wenger and try and find his pocket.
Yeah, exactly. The look on his face, though, is this just look of massive stress, and he is living every moment with you. And with the players and with just wanting to win so badly. So seeing his body language, and then of course when we scored the penalty, it was
but it just goes to show again nuts. Under him, we went 1-0 up. We still had the second half to defend, and obviously Burnley hit the post. Nick Pope was in inspired form, and you're just like, just keep it tight, just keep it tight,
find a way to win.
And again, this is without Romero. Remember, Romero was out for the North London derby as well.
He was,
So
David Sanchez had played,
so Sanchez, Davies, and Dyer. If I was to say to you, when we had to beat Arsenal, Norwich, Burnley, or Arsenal,
Burnley, Norwich,
that they wouldn't concede a goal. I know Burnley and Norwich are teams we expect to not concede, but the pressure, it just goes to show the work him and his coaching staff put in.
Yeah.
And it all led to Arsenal falling apart at Newcastle.
Yeah, which was wonderful to watch.
Absolutely
brilliant.
I was screaming my head off.
That was just fun to watch. Newcastle drub they did. They outplayed Arsenal so much. It was, again, it's a little off topic, but Arsenal losing, you're always going to add a little bit more fun of conversation with that Newcastle team that just made them look like they were the ones.
So the boys headed up to Carrow Road. We headed to the Scotland Yard.
Yep.
Another incredible day at the Scotland Yard. It was just insane there.
Tons of fun.
The result, the performance, Sonny's double, the
fourth place, baby. Fourth place in the Champions League.
Champions League, baby. And then I think what you got to just say, well, the things I really want to talk about this game is, and within the documentary, is when the players and Conte goes over to the fans and everyone's singing Antonio and he's going like this and he goes
pointing at the players. Yeah, again,
it's like, don't count me. It's these lot. And then they spent so much time with the fans, which they don't always do. Like, obviously, it's a joyous occasion they're going to.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, when you saw the footage in the smallest changing room in the world,
Mora coming in, Champions League, we got Champions League, we're back in it. And then, of course, Conte's class moving. Feel free to. Yeah. What he said there was just brilliant.
He just did his speech and said, "Listen, thank you for your hard work. Thank you for listening to what I said. Listen, 2 words, Champions League." And he said he pointed to you guys, and then obviously the celebration started.
Have some fun. Enjoy yourselves.
The celebration started, and that was the 202nd day.
Yeah, that was it. That was the 202nd day. That brings us to 202 days. Really, really, like it's a season in review from Conte's perspective, which I thought was from the club. For a club that kind of suffers with sometimes not getting it quite right, I really like this. I really like the idea of this, and I actually quite like the documentary. I think there's some things about it I would have wanted to see, but really good work from the club and a really great way to get a season in review from a manager that clearly has had a massive effect, not just on the players and what's happening on the pitch, but the club and the fans and how we all feel connected to the club again, like we did with Poch. There's that feeling of togetherness that we hadn't had, and I think the video does that justice.
So yeah, what way to better get subscribers to Tottenham SpursPlay?
Yeah, it's very smart
to have a documentary about Antonio Conte.
Yeah. Everybody's like, I'll pay 40 quid for that, 45 quid for that.
who is a god? Who is a god? The documentary is very clever. The documentary is very smart. It's wonderful to see the behind the scenes stuff.
It is. It really makes you feel more part of it. And I'm hoping that this SpursPlay thing we see more and more of that from it, and you get the value for what you're paying for.
So if you could have, so let's do
out of 10. Do we want to do out of 10?
So not so much out. Before we do out of 10, you were saying that there's a couple of things you'd want to see, or you would have wanted differently. What would you have said?
I just think some of from a documentary perspective, there's some more interesting filming you could do. There's some more interesting build up. It seemed very it's condensed. But if you've seen Spurs TV over the last 10 years or so, it feels like a bit of a better version of Spurs TV. And I would like to see a little bit more creativity in it. It's just kind of this sort of similar static cuts, this, maybe a little bit more graphics, maybe a bit more effects, filters, make it a little bit more interesting and fun from a visual perspective. And, I guess that that's maybe not brand wise exactly what they're going for. Again, I loved it. I watched it and we watched it again today. So I've seen it twice. Really, really fun watch. I just feel like from a documentary, they could have done a little bit more to make it a bit more interesting, but it's a hard thing to knock. It's the first go at it of something like that long. And so they're going to use their skill set to get there. And I think that's what we saw. So, but again, it was nice work. It was good.
So for me, I think it could have been at least 50% longer or even double.
That
in all honesty.
Wow. And maybe that goes to adding those little extra clips.
Yeah, I think they could have done a little bit more in the dressing room, like at half times and fair stuff. And maybe even him in his meeting. You don't know with Jose when they showed him in the documentary, but
other things, maybe some thoughts from the players about Conte.
Exactly.
A bit more of that.
So
cool.
The other thing it's such a minor thing, but it really bugged me the whole way through. The thing is called day 202 days or what day 200 whatever, and then at the very start of the documentary they say day 1.
They could have done each.
But they just fast forward to the next day or the next game. But don't put
day 2 or day whatever.
Or day 3.
That's a good show. That's actually
13,
again. That's like the graphics kind of stuff we're talking about. Stuff like that makes it a little. And it could have gone chunk and like a heavy kind of thing on the screen.
So they could have done it for each game or each meeting. They
could have skipped each day, like some days. So it's day 1, day 9, day 15.
Exactly. Just a better indication. Like we knew what part of the season it was. But you could reference where things were changing. So So they would have been the two things for me. It was just bugging me. You're calling this thing 202 days.
Yeah, use that as a platform to make it more interesting.
Exactly. It's like if you're going to do if you're writing bullet points, you don't go A, B, C, Z.
Yeah.
When you get to 202, it's so that. But like I said, for a first stab,
it's pretty good.
It's not bad. So you said as well ratings out of 10. So what would you give?
I'd probably give it a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's not obviously not perfect. There's some things we just talked about that I think were better, but I really enjoyed it. And of course, it's Antonio Conte. Obviously, we like Antonio Conte. We have him as our manager. He's changed this club, and we have this show that we're doing on the channel, and it just makes it better. Because it's him, and I'm just enjoying as much as I'm enjoying. But just those couple little tweaks and just a little bit more effort into making it more interesting, and details like you talked about with the numbers. I think little things like that would elevate it. I think the content itself, though, and what it's about and how they did it was really smart. So I think a solid 8 out of 10 is what I give it.
So I'm giving it a 7. I'm giving it a 7 just because I really wanted to see more in the changing room, or more of him in his own room, like thinking to himself and working. That would have just tipped.
Some more tactical stuff would have been cool.
Yeah, just exactly. That just would have tipped over the edge. But don't get me wrong, I'm so happy they did it.
Yeah,
I'm so happy we got to witness it.
Yep.
I'm so looking forward to more content from them like this.
Yeah.
And as we know, even before we started doing this, Conte, we knew he's box office.
Yeah,
he is. You could just say Antonio Conte eating breakfast. And
we're all watching. We're all watching. What's he eating?
He puts the milk in before the cereal, or the cereal before the milk. His spoon from the left side. He is just box office. And
it is box office.
It's just wonderful things to see.
Absolutely. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for watching.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh, you got something?
Yeah, I was going to say, guys, let us know if you've watched the documentary.
Yeah, give us a rating.
Give us a rating. Let us know what you thought out of 10. And if you thought bits were missing, or the bits you enjoyed, the bits you liked, the bits you didn't.
Yeah. Because
we really want to make this interactive. This is your channel just as much as it is ours.
Yep.
And we're going to make sure we get back to all our comments like we normally do. So it'd be really, really interesting to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely. And thank you for watching. More of this to come. Obviously, Straight Outta Conte is going to be a staple of this channel. He is the best manager in the world, I think. And he is our manager. So, so we get Antonio. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. See you soon.
Peace out.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Conte.